All right, so I think we're live. Yeah, how's everybody doing this morning? Just gonna do a quick refresher to make sure it's all pulling up okay on your guys' side. Um, Come on. All right. Oh, still waiting. Come on. So this is Paint with Lovejoy. We are painting Baby Yoda today. We've got quite a few people excited to paint this. I'm excited to paint it. All right, here we go. We are good to go. So pull my image up. All right, so a few things about what you're looking at right now. I am using a fresh canvas or a fresh panel, and we've got our drawing on here already. So you've got two options. You can either pause the video and draw what you see and then pick up the painting portion of the video, or in the description box below, there is a link to what I call a traceable. You can purchase, download that traceable, and then using carbon paper, you can transfer this image to your canvas. And for my beginner painters, that's a great way to get your beginning image on your canvas so you don't have to worry about the frustration of drawing, and then you can focus more on painting. So whichever option that you are inclined to do that, and then just pick up the video for the painting portion. And as you have any questions today, please feel free to leave a comment or question in the chat, and I will look over and try to answer all the questions. Awesome. So hi, Sonia and Jen and Denise and Rosalie from Australia. Awesome, awesome. And I'm going to apologize right now. I probably need some glasses so I can read a little better on the computer, but I am known for not pronouncing names or words correctly. So please do not take offense if I mispronounced your name ever. But I do appreciate everybody hanging out and getting creative, and I like that you guys talk amongst yourselves and chat through there, and I'm receiving tons and tons of pictures and emails of what you guys are painting, so it's just, this is making for an awesome daily morning painting session, so I appreciate it. All right, so for our Baby Yoda, I'm actually going to paint the background purple. I wanted something a little bit bolder than the, I guess, desert scenes that were behind him in most of the pictures I was looking at. So we're going to go purple in the background. We will do kind of his limey green skin tone color. And I am going to keep with kind of the burlap color, the browns, for his cloak that he's wearing. But you are more than welcome to switch up any of the colors, change anything out. You have full permission to deviate from the path. It's basically just a matter of just make sure you paint. That's the most important thing. So I am using purple and just the direct straight purple. I kind of like the intensity of it. And I am using student grade paint, so you can see that if I push really hard, you actually can kind of start to see the canvas through, or yes, see the canvas through the paint. So if you are kind of like me and you are using student grade paint, apply that paint a little bit thicker and use light pressure, and you'll have a bit more opaque coverage. You also have the option to paint one layer on here and then go back and add another layer. Totally your call. And depending on what type of brand of paint that you have, you may have to adjust based on what you have. So don't feel bad if you have to do something a little different than what I'm doing on the video. All right, so like I said, we're going to fill in this whole area, and I'm applying it pretty thick. I will put a little bit of white in there and do some wet on wet blending. And if you guys are painting on a stretched canvas at home, make sure you carry this background color around the edge. That way it looks really nice when you hang it on the wall, having that color wrap around the canvas. All right. And if you're painting along with me, take a big inhale, big deep breath. You may not realize it, and even if you are breathing appropriately, it's still nice to just take an intentional deep breath. Now with acrylic paint, if you happen to paint your background on the inside of your Baby Yoda or somewhere you don't want it, don't freak out. Acrylic paint dries in about 15 to 20 minutes, depending on the brand, and you can just paint right on top of it anything that you don't like. So lots and lots of wiggle room for our beginner painters with acrylic paint. All right, I see some chats happening. Let's see if there's any questions. Awesome, awesome. Right? He is so cute. And I have yet to actually see the movie that this is from, so I'm gonna have to watch that this week. But it was really cute to find all of his pictures all over the lines, all over the internet. And I guess what I kept finding, and I tried to make sure I went with the movie clip instead of the Baby Yoda doll. It is everywhere, and it's so lifelike. Um, and I think even life size from what I saw in the description. But very cool, very, very cute. But I don't know if I would want that in my house. But I'm sure it's a collector's item at this point. All right, so filling in all of our purple, all of our background. I'm actually going to go ahead and just start with the second coat just to apply it a little thicker, just because so I don't have to do that later on. And then we'll do a little bit of white on the top, and then maybe just a touch go a little bit darker underneath. So just going back on my purple, second coat, filling everything in. If you have any stresses or frustrations or anxieties from current situations you have to deal with, please throw them into the paint. Your canvas can take a pretty good beating, and that's really what it's for, is just take out your frustrations, throw your emotions into the paint, and you at least feel a little bit better by the time you are done painting. And even if it just gets you for the painting process that you forget about your situation for a couple of hours, that is the best part about painting. Let alone the community that we're developing here. So love it. All right, so as I'm putting that second layer on, I am using very light pressure and got a pretty decent coverage from there. So now I'm actually going to grab a little bit of that white. We're going to do some wet on wet blending. And this white will diffuse very, very quickly in here. So I'm just going to put kind of a little chunk there, a few other little spots. I'm going to go a little darker down here. And then I'm going to move my brush kind of slowly on top of it so you can see how quickly that white is going to diffuse in there. So play with it. If you end up kind of moving your brush way too much on there, grab more white, slap it on there, and reapply. But you can kind of just play with it, have fun. This is the therapeutic, the fun part. If you feel like finger painting for this, that's also highly therapeutic. Go right ahead. And I did want a little more white than that. Right. He's already looking so royal and regal already. All right, so it might not be super obvious. I'm going to add a touch of black here so that way he has a bit of shadow. And with this purple being already pretty dark, I'm not sure if it's going to show up for you guys on the video. So again, I'm just grabbing a little bit of black, slapping it right underneath that bottom, just went all the way across. And then again, same thing that you did with the white, just using that light pressure and blending that black into the purple. And again, if you happen to go over your image a little bit, don't freak out about it. Take a deep breath, laugh at yourself, relax. It's going to be okay. Awesome. Oh, hi, Neva. Hi, Rhonda. Thanks for joining us. All right, all right. Okay, so let's see. Let me look at my picture. Yeah, I think we're going to go ahead and we're going to do the head first and the hands. So we'll make our little limey green color, and then we'll move in and work on his cloak. All right, so do clean that brush out pretty good because we're going to go with a light color, and you don't really want any of that purple mixing in with your yellow because they are complementing colors, and they will, your complementing colors when they mix do not make the prettiest color at all. So, all right, make that kind of, let's see, I'm just going to look at one more picture just to look at the color. Yeah, he is pretty lime greeny-ish. So we're going to start with the yellow, and we're going to slowly add our orange in, or green into it until we kind of get to the shade of it. And each person might have a slightly different shade for for your Yoda baby. And if you even want to do, because a few of the cartoon images looked more teal, so if you even wanted to do a light teal for his skin tone, you can do that as well. So again, I'm starting with, put the yellow aside, starting with that green. I kind of slap the green on the edge, and then I can use what's on my brush to start mixing it. And then that way, if I need to slowly add more, it's right there. And it looks like, yep, there we go. And again, you're hanging out a little closer to the yellow side to kind of keep that neonish color. And as you're mixing yours, if you ended up putting in too much green, instead of trying to add a bunch of yellow to this pile, basically start a new yellow pile and then leave a little bit on your brush to kind of mix into that. So that way you're not going through tons and tons of paint to try to get to take a darker color and go lighter. All right. Oh, hi, Mike. Glad you could jump on. Excellent. All right, so we're gonna lay our base color on here, and then just like in the background, we're gonna put some darker shades and some lighter shades on here. Yeah, that's a good Yoda color. Awesome. And I am gonna paint right over those pencil lines. I drew mine in Sharpie markers so you guys could see it at home, but I'm painting right over those, going right up next to that eye socket. And because my paint's probably still wet, I am gonna be a little careful for that little purple spot right there, because I'm probably going to have to do 2 or 3 coats of this light color on top of that to compensate. And if you do happen to like paint over the eyes or anything, like I just did right there as I was talking about it, don't freak out. We'll just paint more on top. He's got a little pink in his ears. All right. And again, remember to breathe, relax. There we go. So you can even see that even through that transparency, we can still see that purple underneath. So I will be adding another couple of layers on there. And if your background is still wet and you're jumping right into it and you get a little bit of that purple on your brush, definitely make sure you clean it off and then go back and grab more of your mixture. Because like I said, you don't want your complementing colors mixing together. So you can kind of see right there in that top corner what it looks like when you do mix them together. And it works for some of the shading. So there are paintings out there that are done that use just complementing colors, and you learn how to mix your shades from there, or use what we call a limited color palette. So it's not, most things in art are not die-hard rules. They're just generally suggestions. You can break that rule or suggestion just to see what happens. And sometimes some really cool things come out of it. So still one of my favorite quotes by Picasso is, learn the rules and then break them like an artist. So learn your basics, learn your foundation of art, and then go kind of crazy or go in the own direction that you feel inclined to go to. All right, we actually don't have too much of his little hand on this side. I wanted to make sure I got the ears in for this painting. All right, so now we're going to move into the small pointy brush. I'm going to start going in with some shadows, and then we'll make, oh, I forgot, let me put a little bit of red on there because we just have a hint of pink in his little ears. Okay. Awesome, awesome. And okay, cool. We got Anna's on here and everybody's talking to each other. Excellent. So I'm just trying to scan through in case there's any questions. So, all right, so let's see. We're moving down to the pointy brush. And let's actually go ahead and put the greenish, the pinkish color in his ears. So I'm actually going to start with some white, tiny amount of red to go to pink. And that's pretty pink. So I'm actually just going to test. I'm going to leave a little bit of that pink right there. Grab a little bit of that. Yeah, so we will be doing that. Okay. So just doing a little test piece to make sure that worked. So I'm going to grab a little bit of the color that we were using, mix it on here so it's kind of a greenish, diffused pink. So by having still some of the Yoda color in there, in the pink, it kind of keeps the harmony in your color palette and your color scheme. And let's add a touch more red to that. And when you're mixing with red, a tiny amount of red does go a long way, just like the black and the darker colors. So start off sparing with a small amount. Let's see, that's going to be the green. And on that one, I want a little more red on that side too. And even if you kind of mix this 2 or 3 times, like it's a slightly different color on the left-hand ear, and I actually like that color a little bit more. So I'm going to grab just a touch more of that red, and we're going to paint it right on top of this one. So it is totally okay that if you make a color somewhere else, then you need to go back to something that you just painted to adjust that color. Go right ahead and do that. Painting is more of a organic approach rather than very linear way to accomplish something. So, all right, so now still keeping with that pointy brush, we're going to go ahead and do the highlights first. So I'm actually going to grab a touch of the white, and again we're going to place this in an area, and then I'm going to go back, I'll wipe my brush off, go back and blend it in. So as you're painting at home, just kind of observe the place of where I'm putting the white, and then put it on your canvas in as close to the proximity that you see me doing here. And for this one, I am imagining that the light source is coming from the left-hand side. So that's where these little highlights are coming from. And again, we're just placing it on there, and then I'm going to blend it into the base color. And he needs a little highlight under his eye. And the ear over here, and then we'll get a little eyebrow, and then we'll start our blending. All right. Great makeup, Yoda. Awesome. All right, so you're going to wipe any excess paint off your brush, and then going in with light pressure, and you've got 2 options for your blending that have been kind of popular as I've been doing the demos. You can do kind of what we did in the background, where it's just kind of a smearing and moving back and forth, or what a lot of people have been emailing and saying that they enjoy a lot, I call it the stabbing method. It's almost like a pointillism method, to where you just take your brush, sometimes you can hold it perpendicular, but you're literally just kind of tapping and squishing, and that squishing is mixing with the color underneath, and then also mixing with the new color that's on top. Just keep in mind that with that particular stabbing method, it will disintegrate your brushes, or maybe not ruin your brushes, but it'll kind of affect the ends of your bristles a little bit more compared to other applications. So, I'm a particular fan of using my tools and materials in ways that I probably shouldn't, and destroying them a little bit, but it's kind of fun. So just know that if you go that method, you may buy a few more brushes than you would like, or were anticipating for. Aw, cute little baby Yoda. My older brother actually just bought the whole collection, so I guess you can watch him from start to finish. So I haven't watched him in a long time, so I might have to actually do that. Okay, so let's get a few little highlights on his hand, and then we'll move into putting some shadows on there. And again, just kind of placing that color, smearing it into the base color. All right, and this guy may or may not get the outline. I haven't decided yet, but he's looking really cute. Okay, so clean your brush. I'm actually going to throw that back in there. And we're going to go back to that yellow, light yellow mixture, and we're going to add a touch more green. And then I'm kind of compelled, I might use a little bit of purple to do some shading, just to show you guys the complementing colors, how they can kind of work. All right, and we need to make more of that. So it was, again, starting with the yellow, tiny amount of green to get to your shade. And on this one, we're just going to go a touch more green. All right, so again, placing the color, yeah, like that, We might not do the purple. We'll see. All right, so again, just placing that color where I want it, and then we will be blending it into the underneath color. So by doing this, we are placing, we're doing our value scale. So our mid-tone, our main color was the first color that we put on there, the yellow and green, light yellow and green color combo. The second color, the white that we added, that was our highlight areas. And then right now we're adding what we call our shadow value, and that is our dark value. So you can create a painting with 3 different either colors or different shades. And this is how we create that magical illusion on a flat surface. Let's kind of get that mouth line. And then we're going to get a little eyebrow here, and then we'll start blending in. All right, so wipe that excess paint off. You kind of want, you don't really want a moist or a wet brush, but kind of a dry brush helps. And again, whichever blending method worked for you. And if you need to, you can go back to that original color. If your paint's starting to get dry, go back to that original yellow and green color, and then apply more of it and start mixing it in. So depending again on the type of paint that you have, you may have to adjust your blending style or your painting speed. So do what you have to do with the current materials that you have. All right, he's got a seriously intense little attitude now. I like it. Okay, let's see. I want to do a little bit of shading in those ears. All right, so I'm going to clean that brush off. And again, we'll make a little bit more of that pink mixture. And I'm just going to add a touch more red to it this time. All right, we're going to get this dark shadow kind of on the inner ear. And this one, I'm actually not going to blend too much. I kind of like it being a bit more solid like that. Because he does have a little, I'm not even sure what you would call it, but a little indentation in his ears that are creating a very heavy shadow. And got a little bit of that pink on his face, so just wiping it off, and you can use the back end of the brush as a bit of a scraper and just scrape that off. All right. Nice. Glad you guys are liking it. Yeah, he's really cute. He's coming to life. And I'm not quite sure if I'm going to do the pop art. We'll decide that after we do the cloak. So what do you guys think? Let me know. Should we do the pop art or not? And we'll do a little vote. Let's see. We'll come back to the eyes. I'm pretty happy with the shading. That will work. So I think we can move into the cloak now. All right, and let's see, the base of the cloak, that's going to be a little bit of the darker red or reddish brown, and then we'll do a little bit lighter for the collar and the cuff. So let's put the darker on first, and let's see, yeah, that'll work. We'll use straight color today. So let's use the direct raw or burnt sienna. I was mixing them up yesterday again, sorry. So kind of like the background, we're just putting the direct color on, and then we're going to do the same thing. We're going to put some shadow lines in there with black, and then we'll put a few little highlights in there with either yellow or white. All right. And I am putting these on the sample sale. I think I forgot to put yesterday's on there, but if you want to see any of the work that I do, as a professional artist, there's a link in the description box below, and it'll take you to my portfolio, and there's a sales section on the portfolio for all the sample paintings that I've done for Paint with Lovejoy. And if you purchased any of those, that just helps support the production of more videos. So just know that your finances and your money will be going to good stuff. And just by watching the video, it is a huge, huge help. Please share this channel with other people and share your paintings with your friends and encourage them to paint. Because that's really how just about everything in life spreads anyway, through word of mouth and through recommendations. So we need more chilled out people in this world. So if more people paint, we might have happier people. So spread this to your community. And even if they're going to a channel and they don't like my style, but they like another teacher, please keep painting. There are a million teachers out there. There's different ways to explain everything. And I even encourage all you guys to take classes and watch other videos and take the parts that work and develop your own style. There's not one person who has all the answers in the creative world. They may think they do, but they don't. All right, so we're going to take the black and I'm just going to place it on here again, and then we'll blend it into his coat. So again, just kind of take note of where we're placing it. And the black is pretty strong, so a little bit goes a long way. All right, so again, just kind of getting them in those main areas. Thinking we've got these different little folds. All right, let's get another one right there. Okay, so you definitely want to wipe your brush off. And we may, I actually was pretty generous with that amount of paint, so I may have to wipe some of it off, or I may even go back and grab more of the burnt sienna. So we're going to kind of go back and forth as we mix this into the base. So again, wiping that brush off, and then just with that light pressure, we're going to blend this into it. And if you need to, if you realize you're getting a lot of buildup on there already, wipe it off and then come back to do more blending. And I kind of like these expressive brush strokes, so just kind of play with that. If you want something a little bit more smooth, once you've done your blending, then keep light pressure and then you can smooth it out a little bit more. But like I said, I'm a bit more of a fan of the expressive brush strokes and kind of this different movement that they'll go. But like I said, play with what you want. And then again, if you were like me, that was pretty generous with that black paint, wipe some off as needed. And I think we'll be using yellow next for our highlight on here. Yeah, we'll use some yellow. All right, so same thing that we did with the black, and I'm going to be just as generous with the yellow, just because it will actually get eaten up a lot quicker. Okay, and then wiping off that paint, just gonna move these brushes over here. All right, wipe off that excess paint, and then again, same pressure that you were using if it was keeping it smooth or you had more textured brush strokes. And again, just keep in mind and even observe how quickly this yellow is being eaten up into the lighter, darker color. And as you're doing this, remember to get out of your chair, look at your painting from a distance of 5 to 10 feet away, assess what it looks like from that distance, and then go back and change or adjust anything that you might need. All right, looking good. And we've got one vote so far for no pop, no pop art. So unless a whole bunch of you decide that you want the pop art, we'll decide that in the next 5 minutes or so. All right, so cleaning that brush off, we're gonna start moving into the little collars. We're gonna go pretty dark. We'll use pure black paint for right there for the shadow. And then we'll assess, and then we'll get a little bit of black on the eyes. So, All right, so for this guy, I'm actually gonna use the raw sienna. I'm gonna tone it down a little bit more with some white. Going for a bit more of a creamy color. There we go. And then we'll be doing the exact same thing. We're going to put our base color on here. Then we'll put some highlights and some shadows. And depending on how popular this is, I may actually have to do the whole Star Wars characters. And again, if this brush, the big brush, feel free to move down to a skinnier brush, smaller one if you need to. Go a little bit darker right there. All right, and almost at this point, except for maybe just a few little small areas, everything should be filled in with paint. We've got a few areas around the eyes and then on the inside of the cuff, but otherwise you should be completely covered. And what we call the underpainting. All right, oh, I'm gonna put a little bit thicker right here on top of that purple. All right, so from here, we're gonna start with the white and then we'll go in with some darker shades. So again, grabbing that white, I'm gonna put it in a few spaces and then we will blend it in. All right, wipe off that excess paint. And then again, whichever blending method was working for you, we're gonna just softly put this white, our highlight, into the main color. All right, and from here, I'm actually gonna grab that direct raw sienna. This will be our shadow. Okay, and then wipe off that paint, and then we're gonna blend this in. And again, you can either have expressive brush strokes or your smooth, whichever you're finding comfortable with, or whichever you prefer. All right. So now I'm going to grab the direct black. We're going to redo the pupils and the eyes, and then we're also going to put a little bit right here. So we'll start with this one because we would imagine there would be a nice kind of shadow hanging out in the cuff where his hand's coming out of. And then again, as we're doing this eyeliner, you want to use just the tip of your brush and kind of light pressure. So treat your brush like a pencil. And remember to breathe. It does not help when you're doing detailed work to hold your breath. And should you, on accident or on purpose, go over that little white dot, our Yoda is going to look a little zombie, and we will reapply the dot. So try to not do that, but if you happen to, I'm going to do mine on purpose just so I can apply the dot so you can see what to do. All right, look at our alien Yoda now. He just turned creepy, majorly creepy. Oh, awesome. Yeah, his cloak does look extra dirty. And it's almost like the dirt's moving around on his cloak. That could be a very Star Wars Jedi mind trick. All right, so to reapply that white dot is pretty simple. I do recommend that you let your black dry just so you're not mixing with it. And you can always reference that traceable for the placement of where they were, or just watch where I'm going to be placing it. So literally you load up that brush, drop it on there, and then you do want to make sure that these go in the same spot on both eyes. So that way we have the indication that the light source is coming from the same area. All right, and I did lose those little sides of his eyes. So I'm going to do just a little touch right here. Kind of helps break up the space. Almost kind of like little parentheses where the tear duct and the corner of the eye would be. All right. And yeah, cap it at about 35 minutes, so not too bad. Nice. And as I look at it through the phone, yeah, it's got nice movement. I'm actually going to do one more shadow value on his skin to where the cloak would kind of meet up right here. So let's go just a touch darker for that. So we'll do his little cloak first, this area. So for that, I'm going to take the raw sienna. We're going to add just a little bit of black to it. I want to go a little darker. All right. Whoops, and just drop some water. If you do drop water on your painting, get it up right away, because if you get a water droplet on there, it's just going to cut right back to the canvas. You basically just have to reapply more paint, but it can be kind of frustrating. And let's see, let's go a little darker. There we go. And I'm actually, let's see, let's keep this same color. And it is a bit more of the black. So yeah, just grab a little tip of that black. There we go. And just using super, super light pressure for this part right here. So it's almost like I'm dusting the canvas with a little bit of the black. I'm not applying the paint super thick. All right. There we go. Much better, much better. All right, so I think this brings us to the conclusion of today's painting. This turned out really, really cute, so I can't wait to see what you guys paint and send me the pictures. And I know a few of you are gifting these as gifts, so feel free, if you're doing it on a regular canvas or even a panel, but write a message to that person on the back of the canvas with a Sharpie marker, just to make it even more personalized and special. Any suggestions you want for future videos, please let me know. Leave a comment or send me an email. And I think I have the paintings out there on the YouTube channel on my main page for the next 2 weeks, so you can at least see what we'll be painting. And I'm going to try, like I did this week, to make sure I have all the traceables at least 4 or 5 days prior to the actual painting, so that way you can at least see the composition and prep your canvas as needed before we paint. And yeah, this has been going really well, so we're going to keep up with it. And yeah, so thank you guys so much for honoring me with your time this morning. I look forward to painting with you tomorrow, and I hope you have a great Monday. So have a great day, and I'll catch you tomorrow. Cheers.